Hey, YouTube fam. Today I'm going to talk about an issue that comes up all the time when people find out I'm traveling by myself, and that is loneliness. Do I get lonely? When I do, what are my top tips for dealing with it? Let's get into it. Hey, so we're all human, and or at least I assume we're all human, and none of us are from space. But we all get lonely. Humans have been social creatures since the time immemorial. Back in our caveman days, we formed tribes, we formed associations because it was more efficient. It gave us better lifespans, and from that, we've always just been social. We're the only species known to have formed a close bond with other species, in particular dogs and cats, right? So our need for socialization runs deep and it's inherent inside of us. So I get asked all the time, don't you get lonely? And the answer is absolutely I get lonely. I get lonely all the time traveling by myself, but I have a plan to deal with it, and most of the time it goes great. So let's talk about my 5 tips for dealing with loneliness. Tip number 1. Make a plan of how you're going to stay in touch with your base of support. By that I mean, particularly if you're dealing with time differences, before you leave, have an idea in your head of how you're going to communicate, when you're going to communicate, with whom you're going to communicate. For example, I highly recommend that you use WhatsApp. WhatsApp is how, if you're outside the US or inside the US, you may not be particularly familiar with it. WhatsApp is how about 99% of the world actually communicates outside the United States, in lieu of text messages and voicemails and all that. So WhatsApp is actually an app by Facebook. It is proprietary, it is encrypted, and so it's very secure. And the great thing about WhatsApp is it uses very, very little data. It will also let you send long voice text. It will let you video chat, etc. And it's wonderful. So my best friend, or one of my best friends, and I are both super long-winded people. And she lives in Honduras, and our time difference is such that when I'm going to bed, she's still awake. And so I tend to send her a message, and I wake up the next morning to a response. Well, by the time I wake up, she's in bed, right? And sleeping. So we exchange one message a day, sometimes more, if we're both happen to be awake, say it's a weekend. And it's been great because we're both long-winded, and sometimes we leave each other 30-minute long voice messages. So I'll eat breakfast listening to her message, and it's like I'm having a conversation with her, and I'll think throughout the day, what do I want to tell her? So number 1 is make a plan. Decide who you're going to stay in touch with. I talk to my family also a couple times a week in addition to her. How you're going to talk to them, when you're going to talk to them, how you're going to manage the data or the phone data, or how just generally how you're going to stay in touch. Tip number 2, eat out and eat at the bar. Why? Well, people that eat at the bar are either drinking a lot and they want to have close access to the alcohol, or they just want to talk to people. So it's a very social way to go meet people. And I don't think our need for companionship is necessarily one of complete depth and long-term friendship. It's just the need to be around other people and to be validated by other people and to reciprocate by giving them validation, right? So in my experience, people at bars tend to be outgoing. They tend to be having fun. I don't even drink and I sit at the bar. I will tell you guys that one of my best experiences in life, I won't tell you who, but I once met a celebrity at a bar in Hong Kong, and she and I hung out for about 4 hours, just the two of us talking. And we had a delightful conversation that changed my life. Won't tell you what she said, won't tell you who it was. I'll just tell you it was at a hotel bar in Hong Kong. And so even though sometimes you walk into a bar thinking you're just going to have a few minutes of fun, you never know who you're going to meet and how they're going to change your life. So tip number 2 for dealing with loneliness, eat at the bar. Tip number 3, schedule an online class or go to an actual class. I am taking French lessons. My French tutor is fantastic. She's funny, she's fun. We have been working together now for, I think, about 100 days, so 3 months. Actually a little over 100 days, maybe 4 months. And it's been fantastic. She and I have developed a friendship. And not only is she teaching me things that you will not learn from an app. For example, you will learn from Duolingo to say parlez-vous français instead of vous parlez français. she also gives me cultural references, and she's just somebody to talk to. Sometimes I just talk to her in English, not in French, but I'll tell her how my day is, or I'll struggle through in French trying to tell her what I think or what I feel. And that's been a wonderful experience. It's been so good that I went, she and her boyfriend were recently in Paris. So I met with her and her boyfriend and their friends, and we spent an evening hanging out, having at a cafe. It was wonderful. But it doesn't have to be a French class. Take a music class. I put a video of a guitar class. Take a guitar class. Take a pottery class. Go to a class. Go to a spin class. Go to an exercise class. Any of those things will help you not only get some intellectual fulfillment, but they'll get you around other people and give you that opportunity for socialization. Speaking of classes, tip number 4, join a gym, get a class pass, or do some sort of physical activity with other people. I joined a gym when I got to Paris, and it's been great. I have not made any friends there per se, but I do talk to several people after being there for over a month. Just even a bonjour, comment allez-vous, how are you? Just little things, right? And they'll ask me, and occasionally we'll joke around about lifting weights or something, right? So point being, join a gym, or I know ClassPass works in Paris, I believe. I think I researched this and it did. So consider going to a spin class or finding another class. Even if you don't understand what's going on, just being around people will help. Tip number 5, use Meetup. So I use Meetup quite a bit in the States. I wanted to expand my horizons past my principal hobbies. My principal hobbies have been scuba diving, skiing, and video editing for the past 3 to 5 years. I haven't changed much. And so when I was in Denver, I was looking, I was like, oh, I see this board game group. I like games, maybe I should go. I did, and I met some people that had become true friends. I loved board gaming. It's become a new hobby. It was something I was really sad about when I decided to travel, was that I could not take the 200 games that are now in my collection with me. And I don't want to go on the side note of gaming. What I want to tell you guys is use Meetup or other apps to find a group that interests you in the city you're going to be in. Now, obviously, that's going to be easier in the United States. But for example, I'm in Paris, and I recently looked this weekend. There were at least 10 to 15 meetings, I believe, that were going to be in English. It was either Brits, or it was Americans, or one was an American running club that meets every week and runs and then has breakfast together. And so all of these groups exist. All of them will welcome you. If they're on Meetup, they are looking for people to join their group, right? Otherwise, they would have already pulled the group off Meetup. So they are going to welcome new members. Obviously, use courtesy. If you sign up, actually go, because if you don't, you're going to kind of become persona non grata. But you can find, whether it's Meetup or sometimes Google, you can find groups that will have an interest. And if you don't see a group that has something you're interested in, or something you know how to do, maybe consider expanding your horizons, or even starting your own Meetup group. All of those options are available to you. So that are my tips for how I deal with loneliness when I travel. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please hit that like and subscribe button. Also turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my videos. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.